Coming up, the Iowa City Police Department hired two four-legged friends to join the force. And later, the University of Iowa is making major changes to the Center of Student Involvement and Leadership.
Today in sports, we have an interview with the new volleyball head coach, Vicki Brown.
And we'll hear from the assistant pregame editor about Saturday's Big Ten matchup.
More for you in just a few minutes.
Today in weather, we will be taking you beyond the boundaries of Iowa City as Hurricane Dorian begins to hit the United States.
All that and more coming up on this Thursday morning edition of DITV. Don't go anywhere. DITV starts right now. The Iowa City Police Hogan to the force. The canines allow the police to rely less on other agencies, making their work faster. DITV reporter Lauren Varell has more on the newest furry friends protecting Iowa City.
Getting to walk around with a dog all day sure seems like a dream job. And for Officer Nate Monter with the UI Police Department, he says it is just that. Officer Nate Monter and Officer Jared Moling formed special bonds with canines Hogan and Brad earlier this summer and later completed their training.
I got to see him work, walked him around, and seemed like a pretty mellow individual, and we matched up, I think, characteristic-wise.
The UI Police Department has had an active canine program for more than 10 years and is excited to have their usual 3 dogs a part of their program again. As a little boy, Officer Monter wanted to be a police officer, and one day at school, an officer brought a canine dog to his classroom. From then on, Monter knew that that was his dream job.
I wanted to be a cop when I was, I think, in 2nd grade. Seeing the school resource officers, that helped. And then they bring in their canines. You get a dog and gonna go to work with it?
Hogan and Brad each specialize in finding missing people and finding explosive devices. If you see the dog and want to pet it, you are welcome to, as long as the dog is not actively working. Hogan and Brad both know when it's work time versus playtime. The officers do not use treats to reward the canines, but rather a ball. Each dog has their own personality, and each officer says having the dogs be a part of your daily work life is a huge job perk. Reporting from the UI Police Department, this is Lauren Varell, DITV News.
Now, if you're like me and just can't seem to get enough of Brad and Hogan, you can check out the print version of this story by Rachel Stiles today in the Daily Iowan. Last night at the Battle of the Bands, the university announced that rock band Bad Sons is performing at the Homecoming Week concert. The concert will be held Friday, October 18th, and is free to students. The concert is put on by Scope Productions and will take place on the front lawn of the Pentacrest, weather permitting. The University of Iowa is separating the Center for Student Involvement and Leadership into 3 new departments. The 3 departments will be the Office of Leadership, Service, and Civic Engagement, the Office of Student Engagement and Campus Programs, and the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life Programs. The Vice President of Student Life, Melissa Shivers, says their goal is to strengthen the department and increase student engagement. The changes will be implemented this semester. And now some changes we've been seeing here around Iowa City is the weather, and it's starting to feel a little bit more like fall. Let's toss it over to Claire in the weather studio to find out more.
Yeah, thanks, Noah. Before we go over the Iowa City forecast, we will be heading down to South Carolina and taking a closer look at Hurricane Dorian. According to the National Hurricane Center, Hurricane Dorian will approach South Carolina this morning and will continue along the Carolina coast through Friday. The storm currently has winds up to 75 miles per hour and is a Category 2 storm. However, the Midwest won't be feeling the impacts of this storm. It is a beautiful morning here in Iowa City. We currently have a partly sunny sky with a temperature of 61 degrees. Fast forwarding to tonight, you can expect clear skies with a temperature of 75 degrees. Looking ahead to the 5-day forecast, you can anticipate a sunny start to the weekend. Friday is looking like clear skies with a high of 78 and a low of 56. We will have another cloudy game day this Saturday with a high of 77 and a low of 61. Wrapping up the weekend, highs will be in the lower 70s and lows in the 60s with a 50% chance of showers. We will have a cloudy start to next week with a high around 80 and the lows in the 60s. So Hawkeyes, make sure you get outside and enjoy the sun these next few days before the clouds roll in this weekend. Noah, back to you.
Thanks, Claire. According to the Iowa Department of Health, the HPV vaccination rate among Iowa teenagers is low compared to other vaccines. Only 55% of Iowa teens have the HPV vaccination, while 94% were vaccinated against Tdap and 84% were vaccinated against meningitis. The HPV vaccination rate increased 34% since 2006, but the department is hoping to further grow that rate and seek funding for cures against the disease. For more, you can read Annie Fitzpatrick's story in today's print edition of the Daily Iowan. Now, after the big win last Saturday, Iowa Hawkeyes are going to be trying to ride that momentum into this weekend's game. Let's toss it over to Zach and Marissa in the sports studio to find out more.
That's right, Noah. Iowa's heading into Big Ten play in just the second game of the season, and we learned a lot about what to expect after week 1.
We have assistant pregame editor Anna Kaiser standing by with more. Anna, what stood out to you from Iowa's first game?
The biggest thing from Saturday's game against Miami, Ohio is that Nate Stanley is really confident in his passing game. He threw to 10 receivers, which shows you exactly what he wants to do in the backfield. 2 of those receivers were Amir Smith-Marset and running back Mekhi Sargent. Having Mekhi Sargent as a two-way player, really going out and catching those balls as well as running through the defensive line is going to be really important going forward. Nico Regini also stepped up with a 45-yard long reception, which is really important to replace those tight ends that we lost to the draft last year. On the running side, Mekhi Sargent had 91 rushing yards plus his receptions. That's a pretty good day for a running back. And then Torn Young added with 48 rushing yards, so it should be a pretty good year on the running front.
In the first game, offensive tackle Alaric Johnson went down with a knee injury. How does his loss impact the offensive line for these coming weeks?
Head coach Kirk Ferentz said on Tuesday that they're going to use a rotation again, which means we're going to see a lot more of Kyler Schott. He was a big part of stepping up last week. He was a walk-on his freshman year and is now a sophomore, and he's excited to play, and he brings a lot of good energy to the team. Epinesa was kind of shut down last week, but we should try to expect more from him in the coming weeks as Big Ten play gets started.
And finally, what can we expect from Rutgers this Saturday?
Yeah, so Rutgers quarterback McLean Carter likes to throw the ball downfield, and when he gets it to his receivers, he can make big things happen. So key for the Iowa defensive backs is going to be to cover their receivers and take opportunities when he gets them to pick off the ball.
Couldn't agree with you more, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now moving off the field and onto the court, new volleyball head coach Vicki Brown sat down with us to talk about her first few months leading the program.
DITV sports reporter Maddie McCarran has more.
So how has it been your first, I guess, couple months, head coach? How's it been?
Yeah, it's been really inspiring. I think every month there's something new that either comes from the players, the community, or just my support system or the staff that is just very encouraging. And so I've really enjoyed connecting with our players in a different role, and then just working with the staff as we figure each other out in our new roles as well. And then just really been receiving a lot of support from Barbara Burke and Gary Barta. So far it's been really supportive and exciting.
That's all we have for you in the sports studio. Noah, back to you.
A hotel near Yellowstone National Park had an unexpected visitor. Hotel guests and staff stumbled upon a sleeping bear who became stuck after entering a woman's bathroom. Luckily, no one was hurt, and the cub was safely returned back home. That's all we have for you on this Thursday morning edition of DITV News. Be sure to head over to dailyiowan.com for all your latest news between Monday and Friday. And if that isn't enough of the Daily Iowan for you, be sure to check out our print edition of the news on stands now. For DITV News, I'm Noah Gowdy. Have a great day, Iowa City.